Hello everyone and welcome back to the Witch of Bees and Bones. In the interest of full disclosure, this is the third time I'm sitting down to do this video. I keep having coughing fits. I had a little cold thing over the weekend, feeling much better now, but I still have a little residual cough. So if I have to take a drink of water, I have to take a drink of water. So welcome back. I hope you all are doing well. I had a few experiences over the weekend that really kind of brought my last video to more clarity. And I wanted to sit down and chat about that. And as I look up, there's a little spider walking on my laptop. You're all going to think my house is infested with spiders, but I wouldn't use the word infested, but they certainly get to live here. So anyway, if you haven't watched my last video, I will link it down below, so this will make a little more sense for you. Sorry. You know what? I'm not going to apologize for having to drink water. That's silly. But thank you for understanding. So the last video I talked about seeing a little spider while I was doing my morning draw and how I realized it was going in and out of the cage. And most of you, or some of you probably already watched that, so I won't reiterate it. But I had this really interesting experience that I just wanted to share with all of you. So I mentioned that I was in New York a little over a week ago, and I was helping a loved one move, and we were in Manhattan for the day at a tattoo shop, and my friend works for the business there, and I had gone in to get some of my curated piercings changed. And while we were there, I decided that I was going to get my septum ring changed. And I've had my septum pierced for at least 6 years, I think closer to 7. And it's a very small piercing. Most people don't even notice it. I really like it that way. I don't have a big nose and I don't have very large nostrils. I have friends that are like, how do you breathe out of that thing? And I'm like, just fine. So I wanted to get a new piece of jewelry. So I picked one out, and the piercer was lovely and really helpful. And he took my old piercing out and put the new one in, put the new piece of jewelry in. And he's like, I'm worried that's too snug. I'm like, nope, I think it's fine. And I did notice it felt a little snug, but it was also a different kind of piercing than I usually had. And I was like, no, it'll be totally fine. He's like, I'm really like, I want you to be happy, but I'm really concerned that this is too snug. And I'm like, I think it's fine. Don't even worry about it. And he's like, okay, but like, I need you to know. And I'm like, nope, totally get it. So go on my merry way. A couple days later, I notice it's a little snug, but I'm also stubborn to put some ointment on it. And a couple days later, this thing is unbearable. The edge of my nostril is red. It's a little swollen. I don't like how it feels. And I go on a mission to get this thing out of my nose. This was Friday. And I tried for 2 solid hours to get this piece of jewelry out of my nose. And I could not. And I got a little intense about it. And my anxiety was ramping up. I'm like, okay, don't fuck up your nose, Victoria. Let's figure out a different solution. And I mean, I would have returned to the person who put it in, but they're in Manhattan and I'm in New Hampshire. So that didn't make a lot of sense. So I started to Google body piercers, and I found one at a shop that was like an hour and a half from me. or I found a shop that was about an hour and a half from me, but they had great reviews. And I decided the next morning to go. And they opened at noon, and I got there at like 12:09, and the place was packed. It was immaculate. It was sterile. It was very boutiquey. The people working there were extremely knowledgeable. So I felt comfortable right away because never having gone to this shop before, I wasn't sure what I was walking into. And I'm not gonna, as much as I wanted this thing out of my nose, I didn't want to be somewhere that was sketchy. But I was super comfortable. And I know that people were being waited on, so I was waiting in line. And this woman said, have you been helped? And I said, I have not been. And she's like, what can we do for you today? And I'm like, I am an idiot. Okay, that's exactly what I said. And she kind of chuckled, and she's like, you're not an idiot. I'm like, well, let me tell you my story, and then we can decide if I'm an idiot or not. So I tell her what I just shared with all you folks. She's like, you're not an idiot. It's happened to all of us. Don't know if that's true or not, but she was very kind. And I said, I just really need this thing like out and have a smaller piece of jewelry put or either my old piece of jewelry put back in or something like it, because this isn't working for me. And she goes, I know how you feel. You feel like you're trapped, right? And I harkened back to my video, and I was like, yeah, I really do feel trapped. And I was like, oh, haha, coinky dink. So she said, I can squeeze you in between piercings because they don't take appointments. And I was like, no problem, I'll wait. So I was waiting, and I was playing on my phone. She calls my name. I go up. We go into her room. Again, super sterile, really beautiful, really lovely. Shout out to Jen at Spider Bite in Manchester. You were incredible. You were helpful. You saved my ass, technically my nose, but like, thank you. And I was just really, she was super professional, but also very, very friendly, which I appreciated, because I was like, how the fuck did I like let this happen? Like, this is completely my fault. The original person that put the piercing is like, it's too small. I'm like, no, it's not. It's totally fine. Like, listen to the people who know what they're talking about. So we're having a little talk, and she's trying to see what side it opens on. And she's like, yeah, there's nothing worse than like feeling trapped, is there? And I go, yeah, trapped. Yeah, it fucking sucks. And again, I'm so focused on my nose right now that I make the connection, but I don't like investigate it. So she gets the piece of jewelry out of my nose, puts my original one back in after sterilizing and autoclaving. She's like, oh my God, you did great. You're doing like good job. Like, she's wonderful. Again, Jen, thank you. And I was driving home, and again, I had like an hour and a half drive, and I started thinking about like, I was trapped. Now, ever since the little spider in my last video, I've been pulling cards about like what limits I put on myself, what limits I think people put on me. I've been journaling about it. I've been thinking about it nonstop. Meanwhile, like, I'm actually, like, I had this piece of jewelry trapped, or I felt trapped by this piece of jewelry. And mind you, this is a little tiny piece of jewelry, and I was losing my ever-loving mind about it because this little piece of jewelry made me feel trapped. Okay, Victoria. So, cut to a couple days ago, sitting down at my desk, doing my morning draw, see something in the corner of my eye. There's a spider on the cage again. I posted about it on my Instagram. Different spider. This one's a cellar spider, not a jumping spider. Again, going in and out of the cage, going up and down the cage, walking away, going back to it. It's not a cage, it's just a thing that it's crawling on. And I'm like, son of a bitch, like, I'm looking at this, but I'm not looking at this clearly enough. I have this epiphany. I do this work. Then I feel trapped by a tiny piece of jewelry. And I recognize it, but I don't really do anything with it. And then the spider shows up. So I decided that I've been scared to pull the trigger on my Etsy shop, I'll be honest. I've been doing readings for a really long time. Putting myself out there scared the hell out of me. And I was like, these are limits that I'm placing on myself. You have a career, you have a business, you're okay. You don't need this for income, you're not counting on this. But if there's people who would like to seek you out or would like the kind of guidance that you can provide and would like oracle card readings, like why it's an Etsy shop. This is not a Kidney Victoria. Like, do it. So I sat down and I put my Etsy shop together. And so I will link it down below. You're under no obligation to do anything. I just wanted to let you all know. I'm offering half-hour oracle card readings and hour oracle card readings. I'm going to be doing mediumship a little bit later. Just, again, I don't want to limit myself, but I also don't want to push myself as far as time goes. So those are the things I'm offering. For those of you that are familiar with the channel, I don't do tarot readings at this time. I don't have an affinity for tarot. So that is not something I offer, but I have my tried and true oracle decks. And so what that will look like is if somebody did want a reading, I will reach out to them. I will ask, when their birthday is, what they're looking for, get a feel for them, and then I will intuitively choose a deck or decks, because I like to sometimes use other decks for clarification. And then I will do a video reading, which I will then send to them on YouTube with a private link for just them to watch. And so that's I took the leap, and I can honestly say I have zero expectations, which is unusual for me, but I'm going to let it be whatever it's going to be. And it's out there, and I'm going to work on some more offerings and kind of flesh it out a little bit. But I feel like I was limiting myself by saying, oh, I don't want to do it until, and this has to happen before, and you know what, it's out there and it's live, and I will link it below. Again, no one is under any obligation to look or to reach out or to purchase a reading or what have you. But if you're called to or you wish to, I'm more than happy to work with you. If you have friends or family that might be interested, let them know. If not, totally get it, no problem. I'm going to continue doing my the videos here. My feeling currently that I'm getting is that these need to be two kind of different entities, and I did want to offer or mention it here, and it will be linked in my future videos as well. But I think I have different things to offer, and this platform allows me to offer certain things, and then Etsy will allow me to offer other things. So that's where we're at, and it's just another little reminder from the universe to stop feeling trapped and trapping myself, and to expand and to reach my potential. And my cards have been saying the same, that there are things that need to be done and they're going to happen, but I'm going to have to work for them, and I'm going to have to realize that I don't have the parameters I think I have, and I'm a little bit terrified, but I'm also really, really excited, and we'll see what happens and we'll see where it goes. So I appreciate you sitting with me for the rambling and the coughing and the drinking of water and the long story time. But I appreciate you all so, so much. And I'm just excited to see where this goes and where Etsy goes and all of that. And I will be back very soon. I have some decks to talk about that I haven't talked about before, and I've got some other things planned. If there's anything any of you would like to see, please let me know down below, or reach out to me on social media, which will also be linked down below. I will say, I have a fair amount of people asking about bones. I'm happy to do the videos. I've done a couple now, and I'm happy to do more. Um, Transparency, the videos don't do as well as my regular kind of rambly videos do, which I'm not really that concerned about. But I don't want to make that the kind of the bedrock of what I base this channel on. There will be more bone videos, but it's not going to be, you know, weekly by any stretch. So, and I also want to give the bones the space and reverence that they deserve, and I don't want to use them as props. That feels real icky to me. And not that I have or that I wish to, but I just kind of felt called to say that. But I appreciate all of you and your comments and you subscribing and just all being so lovely. And I hope you're well, and I hope you take some time today to, you know, see something beautiful, look at something beautiful, witness something beautiful. I got to snowshoe yesterday, which was great. And maybe once again, I feel really redundant, but it just keeps coming up, and it keeps coming up for a reason. To really look at the limits we place on ourselves, and then when we think that we've removed those limits, there might be more. Because to quote Jen, there's nothing worse than feeling trapped, is there? So I appreciate you, and I will be back with you very soon. Be well.